my name is Isabelle Bertges. I am an actress in The Case You by Alison Kuhn. I would like to welcome you to Goethe Institute Glasgow, Fokus Films, Germany.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special Q&A recording of A Case for You, directed by Alison Kuhn, part of Fokus Films from Germany, which is organized by the Goethe Institute. My name is Lauren Clarke. I'm an independent film programmer and researcher, and I'm really honored to be facilitating this conversation with Isabelle Bertges and Aileen Lakatos, two of the women in the film. So first of all, welcome, Isabelle and Aileen. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
So just to kind of kick us off, I was wondering if you could both share a little bit about how you became involved in the film. You know, how did that conversation with Alison first kind of start?
Isabelle, I think it started first with you, from both of us, right?
It might be. It started when it started with me. So I received an email from Alison, which sounded really interesting. I was kind of used to receiving plenty of emails during that time regarding our case.
Yeah.
And I had called her back, and she kind of explained. It immediately sounded really interesting and good. We corresponded after that further through email. And after that, we met over the holidays in Germany in, I think, 2018. And we kind of did a test shot so that she could show that to her university, asking to get funding for the movie, which worked out. And from there on, or after that as well, everything seemed really great. So I decided to be a part.
Definitely. What about you, Aileen? Was it the similar kind of circumstance?
Yeah, I mean, it was the similar. She asked me, we had a phone call. I didn't went to Berlin because I'm from Switzerland, and I wasn't close to Berlin at this time. So we had a long phone call because, of course, you have to think about if you want to be part of this film and if you want to talk about your story again. And I also talked a lot with my parents and with my friends if this is a good thing to do. And in the end, I was so happy that I did it.
Oh, that's great. It's such a powerful piece, and I think it's amazing that both of you were there, to share that. So I was wondering if we could talk a little bit about sort of the production process. Did you have sort of like an initial brief? Did you know kind of what you were walking into? Was it very structured? Was it a bit more kind of free flow? What was the filming like?
So I think what was structured, what we knew was the interview setting. I think all of us had a spot where we had an interview, and she asked us all the same questions about this whole process, about what was going on inside of us. But then I think for me, it was we didn't have a script or anything. It was just really what came out of us, what we could tell. And of course, it was like a reenactment. How is it called?
Reenactment?
Yes, exactly. What was our story? What we had to go through at the other casting. But I think a lot of parts were just, how we could say what we have felt and what we felt, and just, yes.
Yeah. What about for you, Isabelle?
Thinking back, I also I feel a lot of safety when I think back to the filming. I think part of it was because we did have kind of an outlining and a structure that we worked by, meaning we kind of we knew the structures of every day. And within that, we had a lot of freedom, as well as also the possibility for input. I think it was just a really safe space. and that it was easy to forget the camera,
Yeah.
which was great and unusual. But yeah, I think thinking about the filming process as well as also the aftermath of it, we've been very much included up until today, which is not always very common in productions. As an artist, usually you do your work and then you're done. So it really has been a collaborative project.
That really sort of shone through when I was watching it for the first time. Just how collaborative in the space that there was, obviously, for all of you to come together and to explore, and to, like, you could see that there was a lot of input being put into that. And I wanted to maybe dig a little bit deeper into the sort of the reconstruction scenes. Was that something that you both knew was going to be part of the filming process, or did that kind of emerge through conversations with everybody, or how did, and what was that like?
We knew it was going to happen. I think it definitely was the day, or the part we were most curious but also nervous about, obviously. It was really important for us to not make it seem like it was some sort of therapy. And at the same time, for me, but I think I'm just also a very physical person. So it was actually really good for me to kind of physically go through it again, with having the power of being able to control. It was really hard for me, and also kind of heartbreaking to watch my coworkers go through it. But I would say, all in all, that too felt very safe. Like, there wasn't one moment during entire filming that didn't feel good. And I do remember Alison also preparing us, for example, saying, you guys think of a script, think of something you guys can use in case you don't know what to do or say. Just prepare and feel safe.
What about for you, Aileen? What was that process sort of like?
I mean, to be honest, I was first also a bit nervous about this part, because to go through your whole story again, but it was so good. Actually, with the other girls, they also talked about their stories, and first of all, I didn't felt alone, because I knew it didn't just happen to me. It's not just, there are so many other women behind me, behind us. And second, I could leave this thing on this theater stage. Really, I could just leave it there in Berlin, and I was so relieved when I went home. So yes, it was a really good process for me.
I think it's really interesting, because to me, it really is a testament how trauma can also be stuck in the body. Because I remember going through this entire journey again, and noticing, I think it was Lisa who at some point said, I remember doing this move. I remember letting this drop. And I had the same thing, that I was like, oh, that all of a sudden things did come up. And I think another really important aspect of the style of the movie is also being in this enclosed space and this room, because that, without obviously feeling that threat in our film set, but I think for me personally, as a victim, that was one of the most impacting and traumatizing aspects of this audition, besides obviously the violence my body experienced, was the fact that I couldn't get out. So I think that, just from the concept of it all, it made sense to do it the way we did.
Yeah, definitely. That sort of physicality of getting it removed, almost trying to remove it in some senses, like from your body. was there sort of, do you think there was an aspect of almost like catharsis through that a little bit? Like obviously it must have been a very challenging experience, but just Aileen, the way you were saying that you left it on that stage, that was it. So I guess you felt that sort of feeling of release to a certain extent.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, no. And I'm interested, again, just sort of going back to this idea of collaboration, because it seems it's so key and it's so evident throughout the entire piece. I'm curious, when you're talking about sort of giving feedback, were you also did you both provide feedback during the editing process when Alison was in that sort of stage? Like, were you able to sort of see the film at various points after the filming?
Yes, we could have seen the film in a raw version, and that was really good also for me. I remember I watched it with my mother, and I was so nervous because yes, I mean, I told my mother what we did and everything, but to see it, like, it's a bit different, right? And then we watched it together, and I asked her, do you think I said something stupid? And she said, no, just it's all right, you can go with this. And I really needed that also from someone who was close to me, to hear, hey, you did a good job and it's okay to say all those things. And for me, I think I had nothing to change or nothing to add.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to watch my work, and I as a rule don't do it. But I've gotten better at really looking at it from like a professional point of view. So I'd like to say there too, it's very rare that the director provides raw footage and lets you give input. I watched it really from an outside point of view, literally with a clipboard and a pen.
I'll forget it all up.
I did. And I called Alison afterwards, and I will tell you that clipboard was very full with comments, and which again is very rare. And I'm very lucky that I may call my director and she may listen to 30 minutes of critique, it wasn't necessarily critique, it was questions. And that was really wonderful. And what I learned about it, probably not just in general, but specifically about Alison, is she knows what she's doing. That's how I left the phone call. I was like, okay, all of my questions were answered so valid that I can live with all of this, and it's okay for me to now step back and give up control because I know she's doing a really great job. But yeah, it was, again, a very unique possibility.
That's such a beautiful sort of, caring and supportive space that she's sort of created to allow to have those conversations and to have that dialogue, because I mean, like you said, it's so rare, and just, I think that that's such a beautiful process. And the fact that you were able to share in that is a really special thing. Just to kind of shift a little bit, I'm curious about, have these sort of experiences, do you think have they changed your relationship to performance and, like, maybe the camera specifically? And yeah, just, are you still performing? How, what is your relationship to that now?
So I am not a professional actress anymore, I would say. I went more behind the camera. I studied documentary in Switzerland, so it's a little shift, I would say, but I still love to play. When I know a director or someone and got asked to be part in the play, I love to play. I think it's amazing. I think I know what I want. I know that I can say yes to a play and no to a play. I think I'm definitely a stronger actress than I was before. And yes, but I'm not that much involved in the whole business anymore, I would say.
Yeah, so that audition many years ago actually happened in a time in my life in which I anyway was kind of questioning whether or not I want to work further as an actress. I've been working for quite some time. And I did take a bit of a break for various reasons. I don't know if that was my breaking point, but I'm sure that it was a part. And I took a break. I then decided to go back to drama school in New York, which is where I am today. And I had a very different experience, a very safe experience, but also I think my age was just a bit higher. So that, and I think that the world has very much changed from 2015 to now, not just in terms of a pandemic, obviously, but we had Me Too. So I think things have changed a bit. There are so many different collaborations and productions and networks for women filmmakers, so I think we're definitely marching this path together. And with that, it has for sure provided a lot of confidence. And it's also brought out wonderful collaboration and the thrill of that, as for like example, our movie, saying this is how we want to work. These are the people you want to work with. I've gotten extremely selective, just for my own safety, but also for my sanity. And yeah, I hope to say, or that I can really say something like that won't ever happen to me again. I can't guarantee that, just because obviously it's not my fault if I become a victim, but I'm very much more alert, for sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
That's sort of a perfect sort of segue into kind of talking about ideas of, sort of safeguarding, especially because like we know that there are all these like power structures and dynamics that are at play that constantly and specifically, within the workplace and in this, in the context of the film, the audition and whatnot, and thinking about how to strategies to sort of protect ourselves and to ensure that we're not putting ourselves in those types of situations, and how we sort of navigate that, and what sort of safeguarding can be put in place. And I guess I'm thinking a little bit about, maybe this is more so within production, but like intimacy coordinators and these new kind of roles that are appearing to try and ensure that we're protecting people that are working within that space. And I guess you've kind of touched on it a little bit, Isabelle, but I was just wondering if there's anything more to kind of say around, how to different sort of safeguarding aspects to ensure that, people are being caring within the workplace, and that there's an ethical standpoint, and that people aren't being taken advantage of. And if there is something that happens, there's a process in place to sort of have that conversation to say, this is wrong. I don't know if either of you have sort of thoughts on that. I've kind of gone on a slight rant there.
Well, I think I've had the benefit of working fairly internationally in two very different countries, but also continents. So for American actors, I can say, go to your union. I think the UK has a union as well. But I know that the unions have also been a part in what was created up until Me Too broke out. So, I wouldn't generalize that, but I think a really important thing is really to connect, to collaborate, to find solidarity. And there are so many resources. There's help for anything there. So, I think just speak up. And for German standards, we don't have a union per se, but here too, we have different organizations we are working with that have come up to us. But yeah, I think it's really important to find good people, surround yourself with good people. And obviously, I'm all for transparency. I'm all for intimacy coordinators. These are things that in my American acting schooling were a crucial part, actually. And I think that is also a really, really, really important step for acting schools to take, just worldwide. I was welcomed in my acting school with a workshop on toxic masculinity and an intimacy training. That was my first day. And I had come from Germany, where I had very different experiences. So I was like, what is this? I obviously things are not fine in the States, but things are changing. And I think that's so important. It's so important.
Definitely.
I think in Switzerland, we have now our first intimacy coordinator at the Schauspielhaus Zurich. So I think that's a very good step. And I want to say, it's not just about the actor or the actress, of course. I think it's so important with directors, you have to speak about it in masterclasses, in like ZHDK in Switzerland. We have also a Schwerpunkt, how is it? Who goes in the right of directing. And I think it's important to also address it there, because it's not just about us, it's about the whole industry. It's about people on the set who are working there. I think, and I mean, what we're doing now, we talk about it. And I think that's a really good step forward.
Definitely. Do you both sort of feel, I mean, obviously we are sort of talking about these different things that are sort of pointing towards change. Do you both sort of see it like tangibly moving in that direction? Or do you think that it's surface, or what's your sort of thought on that? Like, do you really think that there is sort of some progress being made? Not to put you both on the spot.
It's so hard, because obviously I personally, but also professionally, only surround myself with goodness at this point. So when I do stumble upon like weird, like casting ads, it blows my mind. Like, odds are I'm probably gonna text it to Aileen and be like, what the hell is this? So it really does kind of rock my world when I see those things, because it's just not a part of my world anymore. And when Me Too happened, I think there was a really like small time frame in which we could like really actively change things, which I'm not quite sure that everything was achieved that could have been achieved. And unfortunately, numbers spoke otherwise. They said that actually things have gotten worse. I wonder if that is because women have come forward more. So I don't know. I think it may still be too early to say, but I do think that we really have an exceptional future generation kind of filmmakers, especially women, emerging, and I'm very hopeful for that. I'm a part of that. I think it's our responsibility to be a part of that, because we have so many older actresses who've had to say Me Too. So I do hope for a change. I think time will tell. Yeah, definitely. Aileen, do you have anything to add? No. No. No, definitely. I think something that's really important that you said there, Isabelle, as well, about, that you're surrounding yourself with goodness. And I think that more people are taking that approach, and sort of they're setting their boundaries and saying, this is what this is my limitation. This is what I want. And I deserve better than this. You cannot treat me in this way, in this environment. And that's completely unacceptable. And I'm going to challenge you on that, because, and obviously there are so many reasons why people don't and aren't able to do that. We completely recognize that. But I think if you have the opportunity and you're in a position to do that, you're seeing more people kind of come forward. And I think that is so important and crucial to like just keep chipping away at it, even if it's, obviously it's never going to be as fast as we want it to be, right? But at least there's something kind of
going in that way.
I think it's really, really important for everyone to know, whether you're a star or a drama student, that you're worth it and you have the right to say no. It doesn't matter what your status is. I think that's really important. And I think another really important thing also to remember is it's just a job. Like, take your work seriously, but also relax. Like when I think about sickness, for example, like if you're sick, stay home. If the job is killing you, stay home. Be just kind of, I often have to remind myself of like normal jobs. Like, would a lawyer go to work if they were having the flu? Probably not. So don't go on stage tonight. Yeah, I mean, those are I've been on stage with pneumonia. Like, that's not normal. No. So, those are things to just also really, really remember. Like, you're a human and this is just a job.
Completely. I think we all need to remember that as well. It's so important to have, there's the job, but then there's also, you are so much more than that. You are so much more than what that experience is. Kind of going back, because obviously, this film has gone on such a journey in terms of like, it's shown at lots of festivals, kind of starting with IDFA, and has been traveling to various venues. And I guess I was wondering if maybe both of you might be able to speak a little bit about, what that journey has been like for you to be a part of, as it's sort of, taking it to the public, and has that made you sort of feel more seen and kind of heard by sharing it?
So actually, IDFA started online. So that was, we had to adapt. It was okay, and I watched it with some good friends. And for me, I think one of the most beautiful moments in this whole journey now with the KSU was in Switzerland a few months ago, and it was so good to see how many people came, because it was actually in Zurich, and it was I think this gave me so much power, because I saw people asked questions, we had also a Q&A, and these are really beautiful moments for me. And also we went all together in Berlin. This was also a big moment for us, because we had our premiere after how long did it take, Isabelle, to see each?
We hadn't all seen each other for a year and a half since filming.
Yes. And of course, this was so beautiful. We were all together there, and we had such a great evening also with the crew, some of the crew. And also the online Q&As and the online events were really nice, because we also got some people who texted us, and this is so nice that people are watching it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's been a really it really has been a journey. Starting in the midst of a pandemic. I think what I really enjoy about it is that this tour, this journey really has meaning. We're there for a purpose and for a meaning. I've made wonderful friends through this. I've had really cool conversations with people. I've had, also difficult conversations, for sure. But I definitely think it's the project I've invested most time and energy in than I've ever have. But it's really important to me, and it definitely was a shift going from the camera, from home to the stage, for sure. I remember landing in Munich and a driver picking me up, and the first thing he said was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry what happened to you." And I was like, "Oh, like, yeah, I'm fine." And that has happened, kind of. Yeah. And I had expected it, and obviously, I'm glad people are passionate. But it definitely was a bit of a change to just, putting down my laptop and going to bed. I now have conversations about my sexual abuse at a film party. So that is definitely something to get used to.
Yeah, that's definitely a hard one as well, isn't it? I guess it's, it must have been such a change, like you're sort of saying, with its sort of online release, and then all of a sudden moving to that physical in space with people, it changes that kind of conversation and the structure of it as well, doesn't it? It's kind of pivoting slightly here, but I think just the film itself, it's so important. And I'm so excited that it's screening as part of this festival. And I think it needs to be shown even more, and more people need to sort of engage with it. And I think, film is a kind of, can be used as a tool for sort of social change, and the way that you're able to sort of share the stories and kind of building with relationships with one another. It's really important and quite powerful, like film as a medium, to do that. And the way it's been able to access, even though obviously in the pandemic it was only, you had the online, which maybe gave greater access, and then with the physical screenings, it's so exciting. But I think I wanted to kind of ask a little bit about what you sort of hoped those audiences would sort of take away after watching the film. Yeah.
I think for me, what was most also a bit hurtful, and also when friends of mine watched the film and they wrote me or called me or whatever, and they were so also hurt. And I mean, a lot of people don't know this part of my story, and then they hear this, and they have so many questions also. And yes, I mean, it's crazy how what people tell you in those moments, right? And I was sometimes overwhelmed with good reactions, and also with reactions who also went to my heart, because some people also spoke about what happened to them. And yes, it's I mean, I didn't hope for anything. I mean, I'm just surprised how people ask you things, and I think that's really, really nice to see.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, yeah, I think it is painful to watch it, or have loved ones watch it. Something that I think is really wonderful about it is, though, that it does kind of break the silence. And I think as victims, like for myself, one of the most important things, and I also say that in the movie, is to be heard. That's really really therapeutic. And I think that with the movie, we have achieved that. For me, another really awesome thing is that I don't have to constantly verbalize my story. I can just advise them to watch a movie about it. So that's been really relieving. And I think another thing that I really appreciate about this opportunity is to give people insight into where I come from, where I work in. I think that obviously the film business is kind of notorious for these kinds of things to happen, even pre-Me Too. But I think oftentimes also the women kind of get laughed at, when you, I think we have a term here in Germany saying Besetzungscouch, which means like, oh, she went onto the sofa with the director. Like women really, it's like very sexist. So I think it was great to finally have a voice and to speak about that and show people what it's like, and to just step into conversation is really important, and has worked wonderfully through this.
Yeah, I think there was a scene right at the end, and I think Isabelle, I think it was you who said it. I can't remember what it was in response to, but you just were saying, you know, that you just want people to listen.
Mhm.
And I think that is a really sort of, you know, that is where the power is. It's like people listening and hearing, and that sort of being seen and gaining that understanding. And, you know, I think it's something that people don't do enough of. You know, people aren't listening enough to everything that's going on and aren't taking, you know, these conversations always seriously, you know?
I think that listening and seeing each other would solve most of the world's dramas.
Amen. Oh, that is, I am with you on that. That is the perfect way to round out this conversation completely. We all need to listen and hear each other and have those conversations. And that's how we get through, But thank you so much, Aileen and Isabelle, for chatting with me for the last little while. I really appreciate it. Congratulations on, you know, the film. I don't know if congratulations is the right word, but thank you so much for being in space and in dialogue with me. And I hope you get to have many more of these sort of, you know, conversations and continue to share your work and, you know, continue to work in the industry as well. And it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.